How can you honor and respect parents who are not respectable? This is a really important issue that affects a lot of Christians today whose parents are not healthy, they're addicted, they're irresponsible, they made choices that are not good, and yet they have to figure out, do I have a relationship with this person? Under what terms? Do I allow them into my family, into my home, to have contact with my grandchildren? So it's an issue we have to look at. Exodus 20:12 says to honor your mother and father, and with it came a promise that you would live long in the land. So it is a scriptural mandate that we honor our mother and father. Well, what does that really mean? Well, the root word comes from a word that means to weigh heavily. In the English language, the best way we could explain that would be to say that it carries weight with me. In other words, I give it careful consideration. So when we're looking at honoring our parents, it means that we're going to give careful consideration to how we should treat them. Now, that might differ for the age. A young child needs to obey their parents. An adult does not need to obey their parents. A teenager would have to respect the parents and listen and not be rudely disrespectful to them. But an adult child, it might come under how I involve myself with my parents, what my relationship is, and that I need to be caring and concerned about them. So we have to figure out how you do that in action, especially if your parents are doing any of those things that are destructive. Now, they may, like I said, they might be gambling. They might spend their money irresponsibly and then ask you for money. There might be some addictions. They might have left your mom or your dad, and now your parent is with another person who you don't like or respect, or maybe just doing all kinds of things that are just super unhealthy, or maybe they're narcissistic, or just rude to you, rude to your family, demanding. They don't respect your boundaries in your home. Whatever it is, how can you deal with that? Well, first of all, honoring does not mean that you enable bad behavior and tolerate anything and everything. Honoring means that you give careful consideration to who this person is. This is my parent. I value the relationship. I value who this person is to me. I respect them for this person for the fact that I was, their child and they raised me, even though it's imperfect. But I don't have to enable behavior. When you enable somebody's behavior, you hurt them and you hurt your relationship. So you have to value the relationship and that person, your parent, enough to be willing to take a stand against bad behavior. You also do not have to put your parent above your spouse and your own children who you are supposed to protect and take care of and make sure that they are safe and that they're healthy. So it doesn't mean you put that parent before your spouse, before yourself, that you damage your family financially, emotionally, relationally, physically, in any way because you're tolerating bad behavior on the part of a parent. It does mean that when you do confront this parent, that you speak respectfully. You don't scream at them, don't speak contemptuously to them, don't talk to them and confront them in front of other people to where they're embarrassed, that you speak in a way that keeps in mind that this is your parent. It's like the President of the United States. Even though you would not believe the same as this president, and you might not even like him, but when he would walk into the room, you would behave differently than if it were your neighbor that walked into the room. So that's what you do. You keep in mind that this is your parent. There's a certain amount of respect and consideration that is due to the fact that this person bore you and raised you. The next one is that you do the things you can. You might not be able to give this parent money. That's enabling them to continue a irresponsible lifestyle, but you might be able to send a card. You might be able to have this person over to your house for dinner, but not have them stay for weeks at a time. You might be able to have a relationship with your parent alone, apart from your children if it's not healthy, or apart from your spouse if your parent doesn't respect your spouse. So maybe you go and you meet that parent for a meal rather than having them person over to your house all the time. It might mean that you visit and care for this person when your parent is sick, but not allow your parent to move in with you on a long-term basis. So you look at this and you say, what can I do without hurting myself, without hurting my family, that shows my parent that I care and that I am remembering the fact that I am this person's child. Now, does that mean that there's no circumstances that you can cut off a relationship with a very toxic parent? You can. If your parent, your mom or dad, is so toxic and so damaging, so manipulative, or whatever it is, that it brings that into your life and causes a great deal of unhealthy reaction in yourself, and for a time, a season, or maybe however long it might need to be, and for some people that might be forever, that you don't have a relationship with this person until the behaviors change. And that's perfectly okay. That doesn't mean that you're not honoring your parent. Again, you give careful consideration to making that decision, and only do it in the most extreme circumstances and for a reason that you know is healthy and right and necessary. So when you're considering how to honor or respect your parent who is not doing respectable things, you can ask yourself all of these questions in order to help you figure out what is the appropriate course of action given the circumstances. Thank you for watching this video on Change My Relationship.